guys, it's Jessie. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video and a reading vlog that I am so excited for. If you guys have been around on my channel for kind of any amount of time really, you have probably heard me talking about a big video project I've been planning for ages and I keep putting off. This is it. I got some of these books for this video back in like July of last year, so it's a long time coming, but in today's video I'm going to be reading one of the winners for the last 10 years of the GOODREADS Choice Awards. So I'm very much excited. Initially when I had planned this video, 2022 was the last one, then it took me so long that I had to include 2023, and if we're not careful I will have to include 2024. So I'm filming the instruction after I have completed all of the reading, and I'm going to be in an incognito tab, so none of these books will come up on like read or anything, just because I don't want to give away all of my ratings right at the start. But without further ado, let's get into it. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of go through the ones I've already read and look at my TBR with you guys. Obviously, like, I already know what I'm picking, but just take you through so you know the options, etc, etc. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. So here I have the 2023 GOODREADS Choice Awards. So going through this, I have read Yellowface, I have read The Housemaid's Secret, Happy Place, In the Lives of Puppets, Fourth Wing, and The Wager, and I enjoyed most of those. So for this one I have decided to pick Checkmate by Ali Hazelwood. You guys know I absolutely adore Miss Ali Hazelwood. I love her books and I'm really excited to try one of her YA books, so that will be fun because I believe it's her first YA. So that is what we are picking from 2023, and I did read the mystery thriller and some of the romance, I believe, in other videos too. Then for 2022, this was kind of the year that I guess I really kind of started getting into reading and was kind of like actually keeping up with the GOODREADS Choice Awards and stuff like that. From this selection I have read The Maid. I read this in my GOODREADS video, of course. I've actually not read too much from this. I've read Hidden Pictures and Book Lovers, okay, and I'm Glad My Mum Died and Heartstopper. So we had a lot of options from here, but the one from here that I picked was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, because I've heard such amazing things about it. Kind of everyone loves it pretty much, and I feel like I want to kind of jump around genres as much as possible, but we had some good options for this one too. Then for 2021 we have quite a few that I haven't read actually now looking at this. So I have read People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, Final Girl Support Group, The Anthropocene Reviewed, Empire of Pain, and The Spanish Love Deception. But for this one I chose The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. I did have a copy of this, I believe my mum read it and she enjoyed it, so that is what we are reading for 2021. Then going back to 2020, again I'd read a few of these. I believe I have read The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and yeah, maybe I actually haven't read as many. Okay, that's literally it besides Heartstopper. But for this one I picked The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, because again I had a copy. I was kind of leaning towards the guest list, but I have that on my Kindle and I thought it would be better to kind of go through the physical TBR. Then for 2019, again we have The Silent Patient, which I didn't love, Day Student in the Six, which I enjoyed, Ninth House, which I was going to pick for a large portion of the video and then I did change my mind, Red, White and Royal Blue I have read and enjoyed, and I believe that's all. But for this one I actually ended up picking The Five by Hallie Rubenhold, because I did have a physical copy of this one and I thought it'd be fun to kind of include some non-fiction, because I love listening to non-fiction, and I'm thinking of maybe kind of doing a video reading the non-fiction kind of categories next year, kind of the start of next year reading this year's one. So let me know if you guys would want to see that. I never kind of think to do non-fiction because I think no one would watch it, but whenever I've mentioned it people have seemed reasonably interested. So yeah, we are adding on The Five for this video's TBR. Then for 2018, you guys, there's a lot of years, 10 years, 10 books, it's a lot. This one I actually hadn't read very much from at all. I've read The Kiss Quotient and Vengeful, and that is it, I believe, yes. But for this one I picked Circe by Madeline Miller. When I started reading for this video I hadn't read any Greek mythology, which is just absolutely bonkers, but this was one I was very much intrigued by because obviously I've heard so much about Madeline Miller with the Song of Achilles. Then for 2017 we're starting to get into kind of like books that I think are like really old. I actually have read The Radium Girls. I think if I had been more into non-fiction by the time that I was initially making my TBR I may have kind of leaned more towards reading non-fiction, because this was a 5-star. I loved The Radium Girls. I've read Without Merit but didn't love it all too much, and then that was kind of it for this category. So I picked Little Fires Everywhere to get another fiction book in. I've read one by Celestine before and enjoyed it, so that was my thought process there. It is actually insane to look back at these books. I feel like it's a completely different time now, but I have read It Ends With Us, and for this one I ended up picking A Court of Mist and Fury for young adult fantasy. I have read ACOTAR, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to kind of force myself to continue on with the series because I did enjoy the first one. It's just they get so long and they are very intimidating. So that is our 2016 book, I believe. So then for 2015, I have read The Nightingale, I've read Confess. I believe I actually have read A Work in Progress by Connor Franta when it came out because I was a big fan of his. For this one, I chose young adult fiction to kind of try and break up the adult books. This one I have seen the movie for and I do have a copy of, but I haven't actually ever read the book and I can't really remember the movie. I think I watched it on a plane one time, so I thought that would be a fun one to get to. Then 2014, obviously we're going very much back in time here. I haven't read very much off of here, which isn't really particularly surprising. I have read We Were Liars and I thought it was okay, but for this one I picked A Red Rising by Pierce Brown, which is a debut Goodreads author, which is not a category we have anymore. And like picture books, middle grade, business books, unfortunately, well, maybe not for some of them, but we don't have as many categories anymore, which is a shame, I think. But yeah, I decided to pick Red Rising because I've heard excellent things. I'm very much excited for that. And with that, that brings us to the end of the TBR. I am just doing the 10 years, so when you include 2023, it is 10, even though in my mind I want to go back to 2013. I have been so excited to finally get this video out to you guys. I've been working on it for so long. Kind of crazy to go back to the first clip, which was filmed in December of 2023. And also apologies, something was wrong with my mouth or something. I've got a slight lisp in the first clip, but that goes away for the rest of the video. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into this video. Okie dokie. So first book update. I'm so excited to finally be reading, nearly knocked over my coffee onto myself and the book. I'm really excited to finally be reading the books for these because they've been on my TBR for so long, on like every single monthly TBR this year, but I am starting with Circe. I picked this up because I have the audiobook on my library app, which is fab. I am now on page 133, so I'd say this is probably about a third through if I was guessing, and I'm really enjoying this, which I was very intimidated by. Actually, I wasn't expecting to love it, but I really am. I'm enjoying the audiobook. I would like to give it a little go at some point physically, just to see whether the audio is kind of my preferred reading for this. Might be a little bit beneficial because you kind of get tone of voice, you kind of get pronunciation of the characters' names, which is a little bit difficult for me. But in this, we are following Circe. I have no idea about Greek mythology, so I do not know the baseline stories. I don't know like the original text, I guess. Like we've mentioned the Minotaur and I'm like, I think I know what that is. We've mentioned Icarus and I'm like, I know you. Everyone else, I don't remember. Something rings a bell to Percy Jackson though. They said something, I was like, I think I've heard that before. I think I might have watched the Percy Jackson movies when I was younger and remembered it, but like I really know nothing. Like I know so little. And I don't think that's hampering my enjoyment at all. It's definitely not difficult to understand. I don't think I'm missing out on anything. We'll see. But we are basically following Circe. Basically, she's discovered that she's a witch and she's been banished. She gets an unexpected visitor on her island for whom she will risk everything. It's a tale of family rivalry, love lost, the indistinguishable song of women burning hot and bright in the darkness of a man's world. Oh, sounds right on my street. No wonder I'm enjoying it. And yeah, I'm really excited to continue on with it. It's not super long, although the text on the page is minuscule. I don't know if you can see that. It's tiny. So yeah, I'm hoping to finish this maybe today, maybe tomorrow morning. I'm definitely liking it a lot more than I expected. So that's great. Very positive vibes from me so far. Okay, so I'm pretty much nearly all the way through Circe and I am really enjoying it like a lot. This is my first ever like Greek mythology retelling type of book I've read and I am absolutely eating it up and loving it. I have listened to, I'd say 99% of it via audiobook and I'm really enjoying that. I need to pack to go home tonight and then I'll see if I finish it off through that. If not, I will just sit down and read it. This is gonna sound, okay, just a preface, this is gonna sound so dumb, but considering I've never read a Greek mythology, like initial story, I've never read a retelling, this makes me really want to read more because it feels like side character stories in this story, if that makes sense. So like they mention Achilles and now I want to read his book, as if it's like an interconnected series. I will say, obviously I know you can't really get spoilers because it's a Greek myth, but this does spoil what I believe to be the end of Song of Achilles, or just the Achilles story in general. I didn't know beforehand, so I don't know whether Song of Achilles will spoil Circe, but maybe just, I know spoil again is a difficult word to use with this because a lot of people do already know the stories, but yeah, so just keep in mind that you may want to read Song of Achilles before this because at least I learned information that I didn't know before about Song of Achilles through this. But yeah, I'm loving it, definitely sitting above a 4 and yeah, I'm having a great time. There's like what, 333 pages and I'm on page 270, so yeah, definitely gonna get this done tonight and this has really exceeded my expectations. I'm loving it. Hey guys, so I have been on a journey with this vlog. If you guys are keeping up with my channel, you will know that I have been talking about this video for a while. So I read Circe in December. I loved Circe. I don't know if I ever gave you a full wrap up, but this was like a 4.5. I had an excellent time. This fully spearheaded my love for Greek mythology, and I've gone on to read a lot more so far this year. I love listening to this via audiobook. That's one of my favourite ways to consume Greek mythology, but like I'm having a great time with it. Really excellent. I thought this was really excellently told. I love the feminist perspective. I love that we covered like a large portion of time, but nothing felt like it was dragged out. Again, I read this like 6 months ago now, so I will just leave it at that because I don't have another full review. I'm determined in the next 2 weeks I am going to finish this vlog and read all these books because I'm so excited for them, and I've been putting so many of them off. But I will let you know that I did actually already read The Vanishing half. I enjoyed this. I was going to update you halfway through, but I feel like this is a book where I didn't really have very strong opinions halfway through, and I thought that I kind of would just like talk about my overall opinions when I finished it off. This is definitely outside my regular comfort zone. I don't normally read lit fic, and I don't normally read anything historical type of thing. Obviously when I talk about this book, it's won the Women's Prize for Fiction, so like, or it's shortlisted, sorry, it didn't win, but you know, it's a very highly regarded book, so I will go into all my speaking about it with saying like objectively it's a well-written book, it's a good book. But this is basically following two twins from a southern like small town. They both can pass as white, I believe, but one of them goes on to, you know, basically pass as white for her whole life and present as a white woman, and the other one is obviously just going about her life as a black woman. And on the blurb it talks about how like this is a multi-generational story and like what will happen when their daughters meet and things like that. And like spoilers, I feel like nothing, do you know what I mean? Like I feel like this was like alluding to like a big kind of like conclusion, and I felt just a little bit underwhelmed by the ending. Obviously this was like a very interesting story and had some very like complex discussions on race and identity and things like that, and racism obviously, but overall I just felt like a little bit like the ending was a little bit lackluster. Like the whole book, it felt like we were following like a multi-generational story, and then the ending just felt a little bit flat for me. I was just left feeling like I wanted a little bit more, not necessarily drama, but just even just more discussion stuff. I don't know, it just wasn't really for me. I believe I gave this a 3.75 because objectively like it's a well-written book, it's an excellent book, but firstly it's not usually really my cup of tea, and secondly I just felt a little bit underwhelmed by it. So yeah, those were kind of all my thoughts, and I had very much similar thoughts besides obviously the stuff about the ending halfway through, and I was like, I don't think that I am the type of booktuber that is super equipped to like properly analyse this book. Like I said, I'm not a lit fic girl, I'm not a book analysis girl, I'm like a fun little romance thriller fantasy type of girl, do you know what I mean? Although I do enjoy reading these stories occasionally, I just feel like maybe I don't have the quite critical knowledge to be able to like fully analyse this, and therefore I just wanted to give all my opinions at the end. So yeah, it was good, but just nothing solid, you know, not going above Circe in my opinion in my ranking if I were to rank them. Overall it was an enjoyable read. I listened to a lot of it via audiobook, which I did like, and definitely, you know, no critiques on the writing or anything like that. Next up I'm going to pick up something that is a little bit more up my street. You might have seen it in the corner earlier, but I'm very excited to pick up Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This is the only book by her that I haven't read. I'm so excited for this one because like I've said, I think this is going to be my favourite from her. I know that's a little bit of a bold claim, but some of the things I don't like in her other books, I say don't like. Everything bar Bride was a 5-star, Bride was like a 4. So I very much do enjoy her books, but I think sometimes the smut is a little bit too much for me and a little bit cringy, but this is YA, so hopefully they won't have that. So like maybe my perfect book. So yeah, I'm going to sit and I'm going to hopefully finish this off today, so hopefully you'll see another halfway through and maybe a finish update from me in the same outfit and makeup, but we will see. But yeah, I am excited to get some progress made in this video because I keep putting these books on TBRs and then not reading them because I'm putting the video back, blah blah blah, but I can't wait to pick up Check and Mate. This is potentially my highest prediction out of all these books. I can't wait. Hello, I am currently about halfway through Check and Mate now. It's the next day. I listened to pretty much the first half of this via audio today, just as I was kind of like doing chores and household stuff and doing a little bit of editing, and I've actually got through it really quickly, so I think I might finish it tonight. I am really enjoying it. We're basically following Mel, who used to be really into chess as a child, but then she had like family stuff happen, she's not into it anymore, and then she's turned 18 and she's agreed to do this chess tournament where she plays against the like Grand Master of their age, or just I think in general actually, and she wins, and that kind of puts her on the chess scene, and there is a romance between her and this guy that she beats. He's only like 20, she's 18. He's not like some old middle-aged chess man. I'm enjoying it so far. I love Nolan in this. Nolan is the love interest. I actually have such a crush on him. I don't normally get like this with male love interests. I don't know what it is about him. I just love him. I just love him. He's like giving like just like vibes. I don't like the way he's drawn on the cover. I think he looks really goofy here, but like that's not what he looks like in my mind. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, overall I am really enjoying it. I'm having a really good time. Ali Hazelwood's really easy to read. I'm pretty sure I'm going to just finish this off physically because I do like reading her books physically. I'm honestly not too sure about rating. I do find sometimes when I listen to audiobooks when it's romance, I'm a little bit less sucked in, but I will say I am really enjoying it. It's definitely a 4. It's definitely at least a 4. I don't quite know whether I'm getting 5-star feelings, but it's definitely a solid high 4. Do you know what I mean? So I'm very much enjoying it. I don't have too much else to say. Like, it's her same writing. I love it. I'm having such a fun time. So I'm pretty much going to finish this off and maybe catch up with you tomorrow. Like, I'm literally just having a great time. That's all I have to say. But I just wanted to update you so I wouldn't come at you having finished the book already. So yeah, good vibes, good vibes. Hey guys, so I have now finished Jeff and Mate. I will be completely honest with you guys. It's been a little while. I'm a bit late on filming this update, so my thoughts aren't super duper fresh, and I can't remember what I said halfway through, but I really did enjoy this one. I decided to give it a 4.5. There was nothing overtly wrong with it. I just felt like maybe it was my mood at the time, maybe it was just like not quite up to like Love Theoretically levels from Ali Hazelwood, but like overall I really did enjoy this. I really like the connection between Mallory and Nolan. I love Nolan as a book boyfriend. He's actually probably cemented himself up there with Gus and Justin from Beach Read and Just for the Summer as like one of my favourite book boyfriends ever. I just absolutely adored the way he was just like obsessed with her. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's definitely a he falls first type of situation, I think. I don't know why I've forgotten this so quickly, but I think I wasn't overly fussed on the third act breakup. It did feel a little bit contrived, but like overall I still enjoyed it. Like, it was a really fun time, to be honest. And yeah, I definitely think this is one that I would be very much open to rereading, definitely more than like maybe Bride or something like that. But like, this is like a really good one. I honestly don't really see the complaints about like the non-YA nature of it or the mature nature or anything like that. I really loved it. I really did enjoy it. So yeah, this was a solid 4.5. Hello, I am here with a bit of a double update because I have lost all the footage of me reviewing Little Fires Everywhere, which is so slay, and I have read the entirety of another book as well. So first things first, let's talk about my most recent read, which was All the Right Places by Jennifer Niven. So this one I decided to kind of read the entirety of and then come back to you because I have already seen the movie for this, so I did have some kind of recollection of it, so I thought kind of made the most sense for me to just read it and then come back to you with a full review. And I like this. I think I'm going to give this a 3.25. It was fine. I feel like it very much follows along the generic kind of 2015 YA romance type route. It's pretty much The Fault in Our Stars, but instead of cancer it's suicide, which feels really insensitive to say, but it's kind of the same thing. We're basically following Violet and Finch, who meet kind of on top of a building, kind of about to jump off, and they both kind of like, I guess, kind of talk each other out of it. They are paired together on a school project where they have to go around their state and kind of find like, I guess, hidden gems type of things. So they're doing that, and then also kind of obviously discussing mental health stuff as well. Violet's sister's recently died, so I think there are definitely some important discussions in here for teenagers to read. I can definitely see that it would be very beneficial to them. I think if I hadn't seen the movie beforehand, there would have been maybe more of an emotional impact and I would have felt more kind of connected to the book. However, I did kind of know the key plot points. I do think this is good. I think it was finely written. I don't think there's any major problems with it. I do also think that this is kind of a good book for the age demographic. I've now slightly aged out of this type of YA, but overall it was enjoyable. So like a 3.25. I honestly don't have tons to say about it, I can't lie, but I did enjoy it. It was fine, and I listened to it via audiobook. Kind of easy reading, but a reasonably positive review from me. And then my SE got corrupted and I lost the part of me talking about Little Fires Everywhere. And I read this a little while ago, so I cannot entirely remember a load of it. But in this one, we are following Mia and Pearl, who are like a mother and daughter, and they've recently moved nearby to this kind of rich family. And the family have 2 daughters and a son. Mia, the mother, she starts kind of cleaning for the family and stuff like that. She's also working on her art. She gets involved in some things that are maybe slightly against what the mother of the kind of rich family is, I guess, supportive of and stuff like that. So they have a little bit of kind of like non-direct with each other, but kind of like generalized conflict, I guess. And then the daughter, there's actually 2 sons and 2 daughters in the rich family, but Pearl, Mia's daughter, getting a bit confusing, I'm sorry, she is kind of getting involved with each of the children in different ways. And we kind of open the book knowing that one of the daughters of the rich family has set fire to their house. We are kind of starting a bit further back and working towards that point. So not a lot actually happens in this book, but I really enjoy Celeste Ng's writing. Just for some reason I feel really kind of like enraptured by it. Like me telling you that plot, kind of not a ton more than that really happens, but also like there are so many other elements to it as well. Like it feels a bit difficult to describe. It's definitely a character focused story, and I really enjoyed following all of the characters in this book. It's definitely pretty complex. We deal with some kind of like controversial, I guess, topics, so maybe look up trigger warnings, though I don't know. It's kind of up to your own volition, I guess. But yeah, I enjoyed this one. I give it a 4.25, and I felt reasonably positive about it. It was enjoyable. It wasn't like super duper memorable, but I just do find Celeste Ng's writing kind of like unique in a way of just like, she is pretty much like I would read her shopping list and find it interesting, but she's not like a favourite of all time, so who knows. But this was a very, very interesting book and I really enjoy it. It's not super long either. It's kind of like, I guess, a family saga, but like following not necessarily a family, I guess. I definitely don't think it's quite as kind of interesting or like mystery-esque as Everything I Never Told You. I did prefer that one because we followed like a solid mystery, but this one was interesting and enjoyable, so I definitely pick up more from her, and yeah, feel pretty good about it. So yeah, would recommend. Hello, I am currently now, you'll skew it, but I don't know how to get you like even. Anyway, hello, I'm currently pretty much a bang on halfway through The Five by Hallie Rubenhold. This is excellent. This is not that I was expecting it to be like under researched, but this is just so much more in detail researched than I expected. She's clearly like spent so long on this book, and I'm just amazed at the amount of detail. Obviously I know certain things like, you know, the weather and like what she's exactly wearing is like fictional, but like the details of like, you know, the 2 weeks before the murder where each of the girls were staying, like what they were doing, who they'd spoken to and stuff, all from like different records. I think it's just absolutely excellent. So I've listened to Holly, Annie and Elizabeth's stories, and there's 2 left and we're about halfway through. What I'm also really enjoying about this is it pretty much ends bang on the murder. There's no like gruesome details of the scene or anything like that. It's pretty much just telling the stories of their lives, and obviously it pretty much ends when their lives end, obviously. But yeah, this is absolutely excellent, and it's just so interesting getting an insight into kind of just not only these women's lives, but just kind of the general like everyday woman's life in the like 1800s. It's really sad, obviously, at points, because such bad things happen to them. I think it's a really excellent piece of non-fiction, really well done, and yeah, I just think it's excellent. Like the amount of detail is incredible. There's also some pictures halfway through which are also super like impactful. You can see like some of the victims there, and then with their families. It feels bad to say like it's super interesting, but it is very interesting to me, and I don't really particularly enjoy true crime too much. I used to, but it doesn't sit right with me right now, and this is something that I'm very much interested in because I think it's just such a lost perspective, and it's so much more interesting than some random like sick man. Like, I don't need to hear about that. Like, this is so much more interesting to me, and I think, yeah, this is just really excellent. And you know, it's sad, very much so, but also like very poignant, I think, as well. And yeah, I'm really, again, feels weird to say enjoying, but like I am really enjoying it, and it's a great kind of like puzzle book to listen to as well while I do my little puzzles. And I'll chat to you when I finished. Okay, so I have finished up The Five, guys. 5 stars. 5 stars. I literally adored this so much. It was genuinely like, just like, I can't put it into words. Oh my god, it was making me so emotional. I felt like the whole time I was kind of almost like wishing that like things were different. I was like hoping that like things wouldn't turn out the way that they obviously would. I feel like the amount of research that has gone into this is absolutely impeccable. I feel like Hallie Rubenhold, she's done such an amazing job considering how little documentation there was around this time period, especially with poorer women. I just think like it's genuinely like incredible the amount of information that she has in here. She has pretty much almost like all of the last movements of all of these women, which is just insane. And yeah, like it just made me so emotional. I really love this one. Like 5 stars. I think it's definitely my favorites of the year, potentially like my top 2 favorite non-fictions ever. I really want to read more from her, and yeah, just really amazing. I feel like the scene was set really well. I listened to this mainly on audio and I really like that as well. And yeah, like there's pictures in the middle. There's a section at the end which just like kind of shares what was found on the bodies of each of the women, and it's genuinely just so like just sad and like very sombering, I think, as well, to like have at the end of the book, because this basically just humanizes them so much, like they were just regular people, and it's just so upsetting. And like how sensationalized it's been, you can tell that there's so much care that's gone into this book, and it feels like very respectful. I feel like, yeah, you can definitely tell that like there's care in the book, and I just think it's absolutely insane and incredible in terms of like actual like crafting of a non-fiction book, like really amazing. And then just in terms of also content as well, really poignant, and I feel like it's really stuck with me because I've noticed this a little while ago and it's very much stayed in my mind, and I also really want to reread this as well, and so that's kind of just a sign of something that I have clearly felt very connected to. So yeah, 5 stars. That was a very easy 5 stars from me. And then I am now halfway through Red Rising. So changing up the vibe a little bit, I have been listening to sometimes the like graphic audio version, which has like sound effects and stuff, which is like kind of interesting. I'm gonna be honest, like I don't know what's going on. And that's not normally like a major issue I have in books. Like it's not necessarily, I think, the sci-fi-ness that I'm struggling to understand. I think that there is kind of a lack of scene setting in a way, and just in terms of like logistics, because I'm not necessarily like a big like picturer. Like if you tell me descriptions about someone, it will be like a vague face. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna sit there and remember like all these details and like have like a visual picture, like a movie playing in my head. I'm gonna try and be as vague as possible. We are like in a valley as far as I can tell, and there's like multiple like castles, but we're also like on a like planet, but it's not Earth. There's like horses and stuff, and I'm just a little bit confused because I've heard this pitched kind of like Hunger Games in space type of thing, and I think that's kind of at the point where we're at, but I'm like, I don't like get the point, and I don't know whether I've missed it maybe like listening to the audio, but like I really don't think I have. I had to go back and read a summary because I was like, I don't understand like the logistics of like how we got from point A to B to C. That's like the issue. Like I understand the kind of plot, I understand where we're going, like in terms of like the full trajectory of the story, I understand what kind of Darrow's goal is, but like yeah, it's just a little bit kind of under explained, I think, in certain places. I feel like, yeah, I'm just like, it's kind of missing a little bit more, I guess, context maybe. And yeah, I am enjoying it. I definitely think it's an interesting concept. I love kind of like, I guess this is sci-fi, not dystopia, but like that type of vibe. I really enjoy. I love a competition in a book. I thought this would be more trials, but it's not. But it's just a little bit confusing to me at the moment. I'm hoping that it will kind of clear up a bit. We seem to have been at this point in, I guess, the competition for a while, so I don't know whether that's going to end soon, but it doesn't seem that there's a particularly an end, and I'm just a little bit confused about some of the aspects of it because it just doesn't really make sense to me. And again, that could be a thing that I've missed, but also like I don't know if it is. Anyway, I'm interested in it. I am enjoying it. I would potentially, considering how this ends off, continue with the series, but I'm not sure yet. But yeah, I'm enjoying it and it's fun to finally read. So I'm halfway through and hopefully I'll finish this up very soon because I do find it very readable with the kind of graphic audio. It's kind of cool. Hey guys, so I do have an update for you. First things first, I finished off Red Rising, and I definitely think my problem with this was potentially more with the audiobook than the actual book, because I read the last 25% of this or so physically and I enjoyed it a lot more. I was feeling that I could picture things a lot better. I was kind of more in the story, I was more invested, and I was just overall enjoying it a lot more. I think I'm going to give it a 3.75 just because of, I do have to factor in the fact that I didn't really enjoy the first half that much. However, I do think upon a reread this could be higher, and I do think that I would enjoy it more potentially if I hadn't read it like that. So like I think more so it's probably a 4, but I think it only feels fair to give it a 3.75. I did enjoy the ending of this as well. I thought it was very interesting. It was a little bit twisty turny too, which was fun, and I think it sets up a very interesting plot for the next book, which I would pick up. I don't know whether I'll pick it up physically. I might try and get it like on my Kindle because it's a 7-book series and I'm just thinking of the shelf space, but I do think I'll pick it up in the new year at some point. I'll continue on with this series. I do think there is potential that I won't enjoy the rest of the series as much as this one, because I do love a trial aspect in a book and you can't have that in every single book, and the kind of trial did conclude here. So yeah, overall I did enjoy this one and it definitely kind of got a lot better, which is obviously very good. And I have another major update. I'm like halfway through A Court of Mist and Fury. So I was kind of debating what I wanted to pick up next, and I actually decided on this one, and I have been putting it off for a while because obviously she's massive and I do feel slightly intimidated by it because it is pretty much kind of all round everyone's favourite in the ACOTAR series. And I did enjoy the first one. I thought it was okay. I gave it like a 4. I had a good time with it, but it was nothing crazy, and I read it kind of last September, October maybe, so it was a bit of a while ago. But I've actually been listening to this via audio when I do my colouring because I'm absolutely obsessed with doing colouring at the moment. It's my new favourite audiobook activity and I'm eating this up. I am loving it. I don't know why, like sometimes audiobooks just kind of click for me and other times they just don't. I don't know whether it was the graphic audio that I didn't like in Red Rising, I'm not sure, but loving this so much. I'm obsessed with Freesand, guys. I really thought that I was not going to get the hype, but like I'm just like everyone else. I'm eating it up. I do think it's not quite like a 5, maybe like a 4.5, but I'm really interested to see where we go in the story from here. I think this is, although it doesn't have the trials from the first book, I actually do think this is a better book than the first one. I'm enjoying it more, I'm enjoying the characters more, and I feel like we're really starting to get kind of properly into the story. I do find Favourite a little bit annoying at times, but I feel like that's kind of sometimes the case with older YA fantasy and kind of female protagonists, because this was published in like 2015 or something, I want to say. Yeah, published in 2016, so it's kind of got that kind of not like other girls vibe, but I am still enjoying it and I'm excited to see where it goes. So I think I might actually finish this off today, so I've got a lot of time to listen to the audiobook, and yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot more than expected, which is very, very good. Hi, hello, hello, hi. That was very odd. I have finished A Cop of Mist and Fury. I ate this up. I loved this. I honestly was going in thinking, I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel. I do own the whole series, but like, I don't know, maybe it's not gonna be my vibe. I don't know what about it was. I am obsessed. I loved this. This was so good. I decided to give this one a 4.5. I know Sarah J Maas is pretty controversial and the series gets a lot of flack and stuff, but just from an enjoyment perspective from the book, I loved this. I gave this, like I said, a 4.5. This read so quickly for me. I did listen to like 90% of it, if not more, via audiobook, and I really enjoyed listening to it that way. I listened to the first one via audio and didn't love it as much, but I think that was just kind of the story in general. I loved the setting of this one. I loved the additional characters that we got. I believe a couple of them, not only they follow the rest of the kind of books following Favourite, but also the Silver Flames and then future books. I believe they will be in a lot as well, which is really, really fun. I loved the romance in this one. I actually wasn't really into the romance in the first one, I think because I knew how much people talk about the romance in this one, and yeah, just like everything that everyone loves about it, I felt like I was agreeing with. I don't know what it was. I am just obsessed with Rhys, as everybody else is, as well as like all of his friends and everything like that. I think the story also is a little bit more interesting, even though there's trials in the first one, which usually I enjoy. I preferred the story here, and I really, really like the way that things have been set up for the next book. So I'm definitely very interested to see where things are going to go, because I definitely think we're in a very interesting place. I was listening to that whilst I was doing my colouring in, because I've got the cutest little colouring in book, and I have become absolutely obsessed with like colouring in and like, can you see, doing like these little pictures because they're so cute, and I'm literally having the most fun ever. And I got this book maybe like 2 weeks ago and I'm already like halfway done with like most of these pictures and like all of the pictures in the book. I'm just having like the best time ever. This was from Amazon, by the way. It was like £7 or something, so very, very cheap and very, very fun. It's keeping me very much entertained and it's making me want to read loads more audiobooks. Okay, so then after reading A Cop of Mist and Fury, I moved on to my next book, and I'm also enjoying listening to this via audio too. I'm getting it from my library, which is great. I didn't think I'd initially be able to access this one, and I've also been doing the colouring in whilst I've been reading this, and I've got a decent chunk of the way through Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, so I wanted to make sure I updated you before I moved on to probably potentially getting really close to the end tonight. I've really been loving like little calming activities whilst I listen to an audiobook, kind of either colouring, playing on my Switch, playing like those stupid matching games on my iPad, like full iPad kid. Like I love Homescapes, and that town one, I've become obsessed with that too. This is a tangent, but I am on page 317 of Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which is I believe like between 60 and 70% of the way through, and I'm really enjoying this as well. I don't think I'm like absolutely obsessed with it, just because I feel like I get this way when books are kind of like resoundingly loved and like the best book of the year kind of talked about. It's a very much enjoyable enjoyable book. It's not like groundbreaking so far. I definitely understand why it's got mass appeal, but it isn't like life-changing, if that makes sense. So don't get me wrong, it's still at least like a 4-star for me. I'm very much enjoying it. I'm enjoying being with the characters, I'm enjoying what we're following, but it just feels reasonably similar to a lot of other, I've not read a lot, but like other literary fictions that I've read. Obviously it takes a slightly different spin with the gaming. I realise I haven't actually told you what this is about, but we're basically following Sadie and Sam kind of through childhood, but mainly focusing on them once they're in their 20s and kind of following them from there. And they are kind of both game developers working on games together, and it kind of talks about their relationship and like the platonic love as well, and kind of like they have a lot of tension and stuff, and like falling outs and making ups and type of thing, but not in a way of like angsty, just in like a general, like in a relationship that you would have with someone that is in your life. So I am really enjoying this one so far. As I said, I'm quite a long way through already, so I'll definitely think I will finish this up soon. However, yeah, I just don't think I have too much to say about it. It's definitely well written. I'm enjoying, like I said, getting to know the characters. I think they're very well fleshed out, and I'm also enjoying kind of like the talks about the games. I know nothing about game design, programming, anything like that, so I'm presuming this is somewhat realistic to the experience, but I wouldn't know. But it's interesting to learn about that side. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, but it's not kind of 5-star in the way that I think a lot of people have treated it. But like, don't get me wrong, it's a very, very good book, and I'm excited to see kind of where we go from here. I'm interested, and we seem to be leading up to kind of a big event falling out type of thing, so we'll see where we go, and ignore like all the ink on my hand. But yeah, I will catch up with you when I finish this one, and then we'll have like 1 book left, which is crazy. Hey guys, so I hope this angle is okay, but I have actually finished up Tomorrow and Tomorrow, and I really enjoyed this. I think I definitely got more attached to it in the second half. As you guys saw, it got a little bit emotional, which I wasn't expecting, and I did shed a tear or two. I really like the writing in this. I think especially when we got to the more emotional point, we kind of changed writing style slightly, and I believe it was written kind of in like second person, and it was just really impactful. I thought that part particularly. In this one, you definitely follow like very real, very flawed characters, and I understand that. It's not something I love completely. I think some of the times, I think it depends on how it's done. This one felt a little bit frustrating to me because I kind of felt like some of the flaws these characters had when they were children and when they were like in their early 20s kind of stayed until they were kind of in their late 20s, like throughout the whole kind of course of the book, and I did find that a little bit frustrating at times. Like I said, I found the game stuff very, very interesting. I do think besides the kind of one thing that happens around the 3rd act, not a lot happens in this book, and it does feel a little bit normal people-esque kind of. I definitely kind of found myself, I guess, liking Sam a lot more than Sadie, I think, in this as well, although I think Sam definitely had, they both kind of had issues, not only with communication but with like asking for help and kind of like admitting that they needed help in any way, which is like so out of my realm of life. Like, if I need anything, if I feel anything, I'll be telling everyone. Do you know what I mean? I don't have that same problem, perhaps the inverse of that problem actually. So I decided to give this one a 4 stars. I also felt maybe like that the ending, I understand why it ended in the place that it did, because we follow these people for like a good chunk of their kind of at least young adult life, so obviously you have a decision of where to end this. Like, you're either going to follow them up until they die, or you're going to stop at a certain point in their life. And I think the point at which it stopped, it felt a little bit abrupt to me. I was listening to the audiobook and I was actually very surprised that we ended when we did. I thought there'd be a little bit more. It kind of felt a little bit uneventful, and then I can understand that that was potentially maybe like a deliberate point, but I kind of felt like it just felt a little bit abrupt to kind of just end it there after we followed these characters for so long. But overall, I do understand why it's very popular. I don't understand why it's like the best book of the last year or so. 2023, I think it was super popular, or 2022 it was super popular and like one of the biggest releases, which was a little bit surprising to me, but still enjoyable as a book. And yeah, 4 stars. I definitely enjoyed my time with it. And now I am actually a decent chunk of the way through The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave. I think I'm about like 3/4 of the way through. I have read this much in 3 40-minute sprints. I read 40 minutes yesterday, and then I read for 1 hour and 20 today, and I'm this far through the book. That's insane. 2 hours, and I have read 255 pages, which is crazy. I think even for me, at the moment, I've just been reading at like an insane speed. I'm not like skimming or anything either. I feel like, I don't know, I'm just like absolutely locking in and reading, which is very good considering how much of reading I've got to do. In this one, we are basically following oh god, what is her name? Hannah, who is living with her husband and his daughter, and one day she finds out that kind of like something's gone on at the company her husband works for, and he has like disappeared. He's like given someone a note to give to her that says protect her, in terms of like his daughter Bailey, and she's now kind of going around and having to try and figure out basically what's happened, where he's gone, and potentially there's some more secrets, things she didn't know, etc, etc. It is very much like a generic thriller. I feel like I see my thrillers and mysteries in like two kind of categories. You have like the generic thriller, and then you have like something that's trying to do something different and is doing something different. So like when I think of ones like that, I think of like Wrong Place, Wrong Time, Chasing the Boogeyman, Bright Eyed Woman, if you are going to count that as like a mystery thriller, although I personally wouldn't. Books like that, Ask for Andrea, that I feel like are doing something a bit above and beyond. And then you've got a generic thriller that's still really good, which is like a lot of the books that you kind of class as thrillers, but like they can kind of range from like pretty good to like pretty generic, and I definitely think this is on the better end of the generic thriller. There's a certain like vibe that it gives off that I think most thrillers kind of give off, and that's what this one is. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. It's nothing crazy special, but it is definitely good for like the genre that it is. I think it's a very well marketable thriller. I think it's, at least so far, it's very digestible. I feel like it's definitely one, because it got a lot of success. Obviously it's a Reese's Book Club pick and won the GOODREADS Choice Awards. It's got a lot of success, and I can understand why. I feel like this is a very kind of easily lovable thriller, or easily like enjoyable thriller for a lot of people, especially people that potentially don't read tons, like not in a bad way, but in like if you're going to pick up 5 books a year, this would probably be a decent one to read. It'd be a good holiday read, etc. I'm definitely finding it slightly more gripping than your kind of run-of-the-mill thriller. I'm kind of connected to the characters a bit more, which is nice, because I often find that missing in thrillers. And yeah, I'm excited to see where things go. We're definitely kind of discovering things, I think, at a good place. Things are a bit mysterious. Obviously there are certain like contrived parts of the plot which I think do happen a lot in thrillers, but nothing to discredit it. And yeah, enjoying it so far. It's not like quite up to here, do you know what I mean? Like I'm thinking about where I'm going to rate it, obviously, because I think about that all the time. If it stays where it is now, probably like a 3.75, which is pretty good rating. But yeah, it depends kind of on the twist at the end, I guess, the reveal, and where it's going to go. So yeah, I'm excited to finish this one off. Hopefully I should finish it tonight, maybe in like 40 minutes or so, which is crazy, and then I'll be done with this video that I have been planning for over a year. Crazy, 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 crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna finish this one off now. So here we have all of the books that I read for this video. We've got a lot, very, very different kind of experiences with all of them, very different vibes across most of them, but I thought let's go through them in kind of like reverse chronological order of like their actual kind of year that they were the Goodreads winner for, because obviously I did not read them anywhere near the correct order. So first things first, Red Rising by Pierce Brown. This was debut Goodreads author for 2014. I really enjoyed this. Like I said kind of in my review, I decided to give this a 3.75, though I think maybe if I'd read it physically I would have enjoyed it more, but this is a very positive kind of review for me. I'll definitely be continuing on in the series. I thought it was a really fun kind of unique story as well, although I had some trouble kind of picturing things at some points. Overall I really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to see where the rest of the story goes now that we're kind of out of the like trial type of aspect of it, I guess. Then for 2015, this was for young adult fiction, I believe. Obviously I read All the Right Places by Jennifer Niven. I gave this one a 3.25. Again, like I said, I feel like if I had maybe read this before seeing the movie it would have been higher, but like I can appreciate that it's a good story. I think maybe reading it as like a 15-year-old I probably would have potentially enjoyed it more, but it was fine, it was okay. I'll probably unhaul this at some point, do you know what I mean? Like I don't feel anything towards it, but it was fine, to be honest. Like overall it was fine. Then we have A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J Maas. I know she's a bit controversial, but I can't lie, I really enjoyed this one. This was so much better than I expected it to be. Like I mentioned, I had kind of mid expectations, but I absolutely ate this one up. I gave this one a 4.5. I can't wait to continue on with the series. I think maybe on a reread it could be a 5, like having maybe read the rest of the series and kind of be more attached to the characters. I thought this was such a fun book. It didn't feel super long as well, which I really enjoyed, so love this one. Can't wait to carry on with the series. Then we have Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. This one I gave a 4.25. Again, I don't have like tons to say about it. I don't think it's like a crazy plot driven book, like similarly to her other one. I don't know what it is, but the writing just kind of sucks me in. It's not something that I feel particularly has incredible writing, but for some reason I'm just like sucked in and really intrigued. So this is a really great one, another recommendation. I'd probably recommend everything maybe besides like All the Right Places so far, but yeah, this was a great one as well. And that one won general fiction, and I believe Akamov won like young adult fantasy. Then we have Circe by Madeline Miller. Again, I also gave this one a 4.25. It's been like a year since I read this one, but this kind of kicked off my love for Greek mythology, so I really kind of like feel very fondly towards this book. I think it was really excellently written. I enjoyed listening to the audiobook because obviously it helps with kind of like understanding names and stuff, especially first getting into Greek mythology. I absolutely love this one. I feel very fondly about it, and I think it's like an excellently told story too. Then we have probably my standout favourite from the video, and that is The Five by Hallie Rubenhold. I adore this. I've really found my love for non-fiction this year, so I can't wait to read more in 2025. This one's a 5-star. I think this is absolutely incredible. The amount of research in this is absolutely insane. It's such like a kind of tender, heartfelt story as well. You can tell that she's really kind of grown to care about these women, and I think the reader does as well throughout the book. She's really kind of taken their perceptions and kind of brought the truth to light, which I think I really appreciate as well. And yeah, really thought this was absolutely excellent. The photos as well, and kind of the bit at the end about kind of their belongings and stuff, is really emotional to kind of see and hear and read. But I thought it was absolutely excellent, and probably one of my favourite non-fictions I have ever read. Then we have The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I gave this one a 3.5. I can see how other people would really enjoy this, but this is just not my kind of personal style of fiction that I enjoy. Really, I enjoy kind of more plot heavy stuff, I guess, rather than character heavy, and this one felt very character heavy. And as I mentioned in my review, I felt like we were building for a lot of the book, and that never actually came to fruition. So unfortunately this was a little bit of a miss for me. Not like a personal recommendation, but I could also understand how obviously like it's shortlisted for the Women's Prize, so like obviously it's critically acclaimed, but just not kind of personally my taste, I guess. But I am glad that I read it. Then we have The Last Thing He Told Me. So I know I haven't actually like fully wrapped up this book, but I will now. I decided to give this one a 3.5. I thought it was kind of like a very much a classic run-of-the-mill thriller. There was nothing about it that I didn't like, but there was also nothing about it that made it kind of stand out massively. I did enjoy kind of the way that the story went, the way that things unraveled. Nothing was like crazy shocking, but it was kind of like an enjoyable read. It was pretty fast paced. I got through it quite quickly. And I can see why it's kind of got mass appeal. It's very much like a kind of mass marketable, I guess, kind of thriller story. Yeah, I think it was fine. I'm going to be reading another book by this author for the Goodreads kind of Choice Awards this year that I'm doing in like a week. I think you'll see that video. So I'm excited to see kind of like what my perception of that book is, because I know that's a lot less kind of like widely read than this one. This was like a Reese's book club pick. So yeah, 3.5. I thought it was fine. I think most people would probably enjoy it, but it's nowhere near like a favourite of all time or anything like that. Then we have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This one I gave a 4. I thought this was really good. I definitely felt very attached to the characters in this, which I do like. I thought it was a really interesting story. I do like following friendships, and slightly maybe complex friendships as well. I think that's a really fun dynamic to follow, and I really did enjoy this one. I think I mentioned in my review, I feel like we ended off at kind of a bit of a random point. It felt like it ended quite abruptly, and I definitely felt annoyed by these characters at certain points. But overall I think it was a very good book. I don't understand kind of the like favourite of all time kind of vibes that it had been getting for a while. It was very much kind of pushed as like one of the best books of 2022. I don't think it's quite up there, but like I can understand again why this has kind of got mass appeal. It's not kind of like doing anything controversial or crazy. It's just kind of like easily readable fiction, I guess. And then finally we have Checkmate by Ali Hazelwood, which I gave a 4.25. This was just a really fun rom-com. I really did enjoy this one. I just love Ali Hazelwood's writing. I think she's so fun. She's such a great author, and I feel like she writes such light-hearted romances that obviously have slightly kind of deeper themes at some points, but like I just love the characters. I loved Nolan in this. I thought he was absolutely excellent. I'd like to reread this one as well. It's like reasonably short, kind of inoffensive, just like a fun time, so I really enjoyed this one too. So overall a pretty positive kind of like stack of reviews here. I did enjoy pretty much all of these, to be honest. I've been like dotting around kind of reading these books, and now she's finally here and you guys can finally see her. So I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you made it to this point, leave a little trophy emoji down below for the Goodreads Choice Awards, and thank you so much for making it to this point of what I believe is a very long video. If you like this, don't forget to give it a like down below, hit subscribe and turn on the bell to join a little club. Make sure you turn on all notifications, then you'll be notified every single time I post a new video. And if you want to watch one of my other videos, there'll be 2 on the screen now to pick from, as well as they linked up in the cards from earlier. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.